Today is Friday, October 13th, 2023. Today I am going to do a breakdown and review of the trades that I placed on NQ Nasdaq futures. So this is a 5-minute chart. The platform is NinjaTrader. This is a 5-minute chart of NQ. I went short here, took profit there, and then at the end of the day, or close towards the close of the day, I went long here and I pretty much got out for break even with a couple of points of profit. And I'm going to go over these two trades and why I took the trades. So in the open, I see if there is a gap, and yes, there was a gap today, a small gap up in relation to yesterday's close and the blue line, which is the 5-minute 20 exponential moving average. And I was also watching ES at the same time. This is the S&P 500 futures ES. So I noticed, let's go back to NQ. On NQ, I noticed that it tested. So this is the daily chart of NQ. So I always try to see what price is doing on the daily level and sometimes on the weekly level before making a trade. So I noticed that it tested the high of today's candle, tested 50% of this bull candle, which is on order block. So it tested 50% of it. So that got me interested. I was short biased, and it was good that it tested 50% of this daily candle. And on the weekly chart, yesterday it took out this high, and it tested 50% of this tail and 50%, and then if 50% of these two weekly candles, which is, so if we measure just the bodies, 50% is about right here. So it was around 50% of this weekly order block. Okay, let me get rid of this thing. So I like that price was at resistance. The same thing with ES. ES, it tested 50% of this candle on the daily chart, and on the weekly it tested this fair value gap, this FVG. So if we put that is a gap, and it tested about 50% of it. I think it missed it by, let's see actually, let's see how precise it is. So the 50% of this gap is 44.38 and 75 cents, and the high of this candle is 44.30 and 50 cents. So it missed it by about 8 points, but this is a weekly candle, so the weekly range is huge. So it was within the vicinity of the 50% of this gap. So this got me interested. It also tested the open of this candle, which is on order block, a bearish order block. These two candles, it tested the open of it. So the open of this candle is 44.31 and 75 cents, and the high of this is 44.30 and 50 cents. So I was looking for a setup on the 5-minute chart to go short, because price has tested on both the weekly and the daily chart on both NQ and ES that it was at resistance. So let me go back to the daily, So in the open, I noticed this also another confirmation that I look for. Let me just make that bigger. So I noticed that, so this is the RTH chart, the regular trading hours, which is from 9:30 a.m. New York time to 4:15 p.m. New York time. So I noticed that at 9:30 a.m. open, a NQ put in a lower high in relation to the first candle of the day, where ES put in a higher high. So ES was going higher and NQ was going lower. This is a divergence, or a SMT, smart money tools or smart money technique, which is a divergence. And usually both NQ and ES, they trade in unison. They mirror one another. So whenever there is a divergence, it means that one of them, that there is a high probability that there is going to be a change in character. And I noticed that, well, ES put in 3 pushes. That's the first push, the second push, the third push. This is a wedge. And then it put in 2 consecutive bear candles. And it also put in a low too. So this candle, let me zoom in. This candle traded below this candle, that is a low 1, and then market made a new high, and then this candle traded below this candle. This is a low 2, and this was a follow through. I didn't like the tail, but nonetheless it was a follow through. So on NQ, when I saw that ES traded below this candle and it was going down, I went short on NQ and I took profit there. I do feel like I got out of the trade way too early. So because from here, I think I caught about 60 points. In fact, let me show you guys the money that today's the 13th. So today I placed 5 trades and I made 1,310.20 cents, and I made the bulk of it on this trade. So this was about 60 points from here to right here. We could measure it. 56 points and 25 cents roughly. Let me close that out. No, do that. Let me get rid of this ruler. And then I watch it sail off after. So initially the plan was to take profit at yesterday's low. I was hoping that that NQ would take out. Actually, let me go to the extended trading hours. So when I went short, I was looking to take profit maybe at this swing low or this swing low, but I didn't like these 2 bull candles, and it looked like the market was making. Let me go back to the 5-minute chart. It looked like the market was making a wedge, 3 pushes down. This is the first push, the second push, the third push, or we could look at it like as this is the first push, the second push, the third push, followed by 2 bull candles, and then this was a bull candle. So I didn't want it to reverse on me. I was afraid of that, so I just closed out the trade because I was again with NQ. I'm trying to capture about 50 points, and I was already past 50 points. So I said, let me stop being greedy and just take the money, and that's what I did. And at the end of the day, so this is how I caught the top of the market, and in the bottom, I went long here. And the reason that I went long here, I was looking at ES, and ES traded into this level. In fact, I was looking at ES when it was trading here, and I didn't want to. I contemplated going long right here above this candle because this is, this is a wedge bottom. This is the first push down, the second push down, the third push down, followed by bull candles. You could buy one tick above this candle, or you could buy one tick above this candle, or you could buy the close of this candle. I thought about it, but I I I thought it was a good chance that the market would test these two gray boxes. This is the new week opening gap. This one is from September 29th, and then this one is from October 6th. So usually market likes to visit, or price like to visit these gaps. These gaps are from Friday's 6 p.m. close and Sunday 6 p.m. open New York time. They usually act as significant support and resistance. So I wanted ES to test this level before I got long. And then when I saw ES tested it, and then it put in this bull, this big candle, and we have even a bigger three pushes, right? This is the first push, the second push, the third push, or we could even look at it as this is the first push, the second push, and the third push. Whenever you see three pushes or four pushes, and then you see a strong candle, that means that market is likely going to reverse. If not reverse, it's going to go up to sideways for at least 10 hours or about an hour or so. So when I saw this candle, I went long on NQ. In fact, I went long before the candle closed. I noticed that NQ didn't test this new week opening gap from October 6th, and this one is from September 29th. It didn't test it, but the fact that ES tested it, it gave me assurance that the bottom was in. If not, the bottom was near, and I was willing to buy more lower. I was going to X my position, and I got out of the trade pretty much for, I don't know, probably about 4 points of profit right here, because when I got long, I was expecting it to pop up, and it didn't. It kept consolidating, and I closed out this trade right here because it put in three pushes, right? So this is the first push, the second push, the third push, followed by a strong bull candle, and I didn't want to give back my profits from the morning session, so I got out. But it's interesting, I was actually looking to take profit at, I had a limit sell order at 15,149, and that was because I did a bunch of measurements, and well, for one, on NQ, if we look at the daily chart, I'm gonna do that. So usually on Fridays the market closes. Well, the market closes. The market closes about 20 to, it retraces by about 20 to 30%. And let me do this closing retracement, apply. So the closing, so excuse me, actually I was looking at, you could, like, if we do it like this, so it closed within, well, I guess the low of this candle. Well, you could actually ignore this. Let's look at the daily chart, because that's where my analysis came from on NQ. So on the daily chart, I was paying attention to where NQ may potentially close, and then we'll do that. So this is the open of the week, and this is the close, and then template. Go to template, load, closing retracement. Make sure that it's anchored to the high of this candle. So I wanted to take profit on NQ at around this level, which is the 30% retracement, which is 15153.60. So this is the low of today. So when it was going higher, I reasoned that the day was going to close between 20% to 30%. And so I had my eyes on this 153 level. Let me do that. And then on the 1 minute chart, let me go back to the 1 minute chart. On the 1 minute chart, so this is where I got long on the 1 minute chart. I did a measurement of this. Actually, I'm gonna do that. And I got 154.25, which lines up with the 30% retracement on the daily candle. And this is an opening gap, and this is a measuring gap. So this projection is the midway from this low to this measuring gap projected, and this was the number that I got. And then I was looking at the 15-minute chart, and I was looking at 50% of the order block. And then if we just measure the bodies, you will see that it's at 153. So it was pointing to this area. So I had a, let me get rid of this. So I had a sell limit order at 151 and 149, and my target would have reached, but I closed out the trade. But yeah, and today is Friday, and I didn't want to give back my profits just in case my projections were wrong and it collapsed on me. But I was pretty, it's kind of interesting though, that how everything lined up and it did go to that price, and it ended up closing. So this is the close. It actually ended up closing at slightly above 10%. So I have noticed usually the market, the daily candle and even sometimes the weekly candle, it usually closes between 20 to 30%. And if that's not the case, it usually closes between 6% to 10%. This is what I have discovered after doing so many back testing on closes on the daily candle and the weekly candle. And this concludes my review for today. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.